I'm sure.
Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, good evening. Yes, welcome to HealthierLifeTV. And today's talk is going to be an interesting one.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because I know when we previously talked before, you mentioned it, and I have to say I didn't know a lot about it. That's
Okay.
quite a while ago, so I know a little bit more about it now. So,
I know
but
you do your research before we
yeah,
do
because
the,
I
which is
think
good.
because I need to know something about what I'm talking about. I mean,
Yeah, fair enough.
a lot of stuff we talk about is we experience, which is a little bit different. But when you don't really know too much about a subject, you need to go away and do some work on it. So today's subject, the global epidemic of the metabolic syndrome. That's quite a mouthful, isn't it? So
Especially the global epidemic part. That's
absolutely,
no pun intended, being a mouthful, but yeah.
no, that's right. Okay, so I want to start out by saying, I wouldn't say it's a disclaimer as such, but I would say always be guided by a health professional. No matter what we
True.
do or talk about on here, doesn't matter how much experience we've got in different areas, we are not doctors. So always be guided by a health professional, health practitioner. Would you agree
Hmm.
with that one?
Oh, 100%, of course, naturally. I mean, it's at the end of the day, a health practitioner is going to be able to either diagnose you or take a look at you personally and face to face, and give you guidelines based on that.
Yeah.
It's it's
I,
it's
I,
never advisable to self-diagnose yourself with anything.
no, I agree with that. And anyway, metabolic syndrome. What is
Mm,
it? Well, a
it's a
medical term, and I'm going to read this, okay, so I'll get it 100% right. It's a combination of diabetes, high blood pressure, which is also known as hypertension, and
Mhm.
obesity. Now, I call it devil's trifecta, okay, and it's this is one you really want to pay attention to, okay. If you're talking about gout or you're talking about a sprained ankle, okay, it doesn't matter if you miss it. But this is huge. And not only that, and I don't want to rob anything that Warren wants to say, but think of the current situation.
Uh-huh.
These are the type of people that are affected by it.
Uh-huh.
Okay. More than normal. So
True.
okay, and those three things I talk about, the devil's trifecta, really puts us at greater risk of getting things like coronary heart disease, strokes, and other conditions that affect blood vessels. So if that's not a mouthful enough on its own, then I don't know what it is. So what's your opening thoughts about metabolic syndrome, Warren?
Well, I mean, it's a condition that literally messes up with everything in your system as a result of lifestyle or dietary habits. So it's a kind of like it's a it's just a vicious cycle. Like you call it the devil's triangle or the devil's triad, whatever.
Trifecta. Trifecta.
Trifactor, yeah, the devil's trifactor. It is basically a vicious circle when you're experiencing metabolic syndrome because you know you've got so much going on in your body that's not right, like the diabetes, high blood pressure, hypertension, and hmm, the third one, obesity.
Yeah.
You know,
Hmm.
and as you said, like in light of what's going on right now, all three of those are prime factors to putting yourself at risk for any pandemic or any epidemic of any kind. That you've got either one of those three, and you're at high risks in any case.
Hmm.
So having all three, yeah, that's just it's because I say vicious circle because you can't, in order to get to that point, you've put yourself down a pathway that is really you've not looked after yourself. You haven't loved yourself properly. You haven't taken care of yourself. You haven't valued yourself enough, in my opinion. Um, and for that reason, you basically are where you are. Sometimes there are some hereditary factors involved, but we're talking about type 2 diabetes here as well.
Yeah.
And obesity in some cases, you can look at it as being a hereditary thing, but it's still not an excuse. It really isn't. Hypertension, again, hypertension happens to certain population groups more so than others, but it's not an excuse. It really isn't. So it ends up being a vicious circle.
Yeah. Okay. Now I wrote. Do you remember the film Heat?
Oh yeah, which
Yeah.
the one with Al Pacino and
Robert De Niro.
Robert De Niro.
Do you remember the conversation in the cafe when they're both together, allegedly?
Okay. Yeah.
I don't think they were together, but there was a conversation going on. And do you remember Al Pacino said, "You're going down," or
Okay.
something similar? Do you remember that?
I can't remember the words, but
Well,
I remember
I
the
remember him saying the
conversation.
words, "You're going down."
I remember the conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought about that, and I just said, well, that's how bad metabolic syndrome can be. Okay, as you made a really good point. You've either, let's assume that you haven't just you've got something that's because of your parentage or your family, you've got something. Sometimes you can't help, but the big thing about this, it is about life. Most of it's about lifestyle. Okay?
Well, it's all about lifestyle. Even if you've got something hereditary, it's still your responsibility, right? So it doesn't mean because your grandfather had a heart attack that you need to have a heart attack as well, or
No, that's
because, yeah, it doesn't mean that that's the case. Naturally, it's up to you to do what you can. Knowing what you know, it's up to you to do what you can in order to avoid that.
Yeah. I think that the key, the other thing I remember reading, it's a cluster of conditions. So, and that means you're getting it wrong. So, and you're getting, or not getting it wrong, you're getting quite a few things wrong.
Yeah, you're getting it wrong. You're getting life wrong in many cases, in many regards.
So, yeah. And,
Okay.
and of course, then again, it's the increase of getting other things as well. It affects your overall performance, and I just mean as a human being walking on the road, not necessarily running or other things we talk about. But if you get it bad enough, you won't be able to run. I can tell you now, because you'll be too much in pain, and things will be going from bad to worse. I know, obviously, this sounds like a lot of bad news, but we want to make 100% sure that you realise how life-threatening this is. If you end up, increasing your blood pressure and it starts getting worse, you're really going to know it. You're going to know it when you're walking upstairs. You're going to know it in different things that happen to your body. If you're the way you feed yourself and drink different like Pepsi or cola. I actually love the taste of Coca-Cola. Okay, but I don't have it very often. So when I have it, it's such a joy. And I get it why people like pizzas and Pepsi and all that. And as long as you do it little and often, sorry, the other way around, do it rarely and a small amount, and don't go berserk, then you're not really going to have a problem. But
No.
I know a lot of people that there are everyday consumption of drink and food is processed foods or takeaways, and drinking Coke and not drinking water or anything that's approaching healthy. And it's the accumulation of the hundreds and hundreds of days of doing that that's the problem.
Oh man.
Yeah,
and the great thing is that it doesn't take very long to reverse all of those effects.
No, it doesn't.
No, at least to start reversing the effects. It might take you a long time to get to a healthy state and condition, but it doesn't take long to start reversing that. It really doesn't.
No, that's right.
And once an individual makes a decision to start the reverse process, it's already on the way. The moment you make a decision to do it, it's already there. Yeah.
Okay. So if you're not healthy, sorry, I'll rephrase that. If you're not happy with your health, or you're not happy with something, either go to your to a professional and get it looked at or tested or whatever it is, or you can chat to us and then we'll send you in the right direction or give you some advice. And again, a doctor will probably be at the end of it, but let's say that there's certain things you can do to reverse it today. Please don't leave it. Okay, that's one of the biggest things. And if you think about when people talk about cholesterol, triglycerides, if you know that word, if you're talking about a high sugar intake, excess body fat, especially around the waist,
insulin resistance. Just anybody that's watching this now or at the recording, okay, just think about either yourself or the people that you know in your life that suffer with hypertension, have type 2 diabetes, or are obese. So think about either your predicament right now or somebody in your life. And I'm pretty sure that everybody that will watch this video will know or have first-hand experience with at least one of those conditions.
Yeah.
At least one of those. Now imagine having all three. So you may know somebody that has type 2 diabetes, but they're pretty healthy person. But if you talk to them, you'll know what they go through in their life. What they have to do on a daily basis, even though it's just type 2, it's not type 1. That you'll know what they're going to. Somebody who's obese, just talk to them for a minute and find out what is their daily life like, and then get an understanding as to what it's like to be obese. Then talk to somebody that has hypertension, that suffers with anxiety and stress a lot, and find out from them what it takes to have to go through that experience with hypertension every day. And now think of all three of those factors compiled into one individual.
And leading on to lots of other things as well.
Well, you're looking at strokes, heart disease. I mean,
anything you don't want, metabolic syndrome can lead you to it.
Because if you think about it like this, if you are obese and you're struggling, you're suffering with the metabolic syndrome, you've got a high level of visceral fat, which is that deep subcutaneous fat that sits around the gut area. And once you have a collection of that or a pile up of that, you're predisposed to heart disease. That on its own. Then add the other factors to it, and you can imagine.
Yeah, see. So the words that come to mind for me is if you feel that you're going in the wrong direction, and I know there's lots of people that are, okay, you have to get aggressive with your lifestyle. Nicely aggressive. Okay. So don't start hitting yourself. Get aggressive and move fast in the right direction. If you delay these changes, then you're delaying the progress, you're delaying the prevention, you're delaying everything. And what we want to make sure is you're moving in the right direction. I think that's right, isn't it, Warren? We don't want people to have serious health problems.
No,
life is tough enough without us adding to it.
And also just if you can bear this in mind as well, folks, is that every journey just takes that initial step to get started. Doesn't matter what the journey is. You have to take the first step at the very least to get going. Otherwise, you'll end up in the same place tomorrow where you were today if you didn't take that first step. Yeah. And that's all you need to do. And it's, as the old adage goes, it's, to eat an elephant, you just need to, it takes one bite at a time. And it's if you think you have metabolic syndrome, so if you have even just two of those factors, let's say you got obesity and type 2 diabetes, but you don't suffer with hypertension or stress and things like that yet.
Yeah.
take action now. And it's a live video that Paul did the other day was about what are you waiting for? Don't wait till January the 1st to make that decision or to take action on it, because come January the 1st, you may not be around anymore. It may be too late by then. Who knows? Yeah, you got Christmas coming up for most of us. You're celebrating Christmas, and you got all those nice cakes, all those sweets, some alcohol probably thrown in here and there, a lot of socializing if and when possible. These kind of things, yeah, I mean, it's going to be nice and it's going to be jovial and everything like that, but you can still start taking steps towards looking after your health between now and the end of the festive season. You don't have to wait until then. Yeah, it's just a matter of adding a bit of discipline to your daily life, your daily routine, and not indulging or not overindulging in any shape, form, or way when you're not having a social event. If you're sitting at home on your own, start to cut out on the foods that you know that are not serving you. Start to cut out on the alcohol that you know is not serving you, if that's the case. And then when you are socializing, you may not necessarily feel as guilty in order to indulge a little bit here and there, but you can also afford it because you've taken some precautionary steps before the socializing events, before Christmas, before Christmas Eve, Boxing Day, and New Year's. Then the list will go on and on and on and on and on. The Christmas parties and all.
I've been awful some Christmases. I mean, I've been like a machine.
Man, come on.
I've been like a machine,
Yeah.
stuffing sweets down me and other bits and pieces.
I'll tell you, my first Christmas here in Hungary was a combination between a dream and a nightmare, because there was just so much on the plate I'd never experienced a Christmas where there was so much pastries and so many different types of sweets and whatnot and so forth and everything else. It was just like it was a vicious circle for me, but I enjoyed it. I loved it. If I carry on doing that every Christmas, well, yeah.
Yeah, I know. And gorging is a problem. I mean, I've definitely. I mean, I remember, and you'll probably be disgusted, but I remember being 12, 13, and I could drink 10 pints of beer.
Wow.
Trust me. I was an alcohol monster, beer wise, and then I progressed on to Scotch, vodka, Bacardi. I was never alcoholic or anything like that, and I used to drink maximum two days a week. I didn't drink during only Friday night, Friday night, Saturday night. And,
but did you binge? But did you binge drink?
Funny enough, when I drank spirits, no. It's really, I used to really enjoy it, but beer, it's terrible. It coming down from the age of 12. So it took me from 12 till about, I don't know, 45 to come down to 4 pints from 12. So I could, you have to understand, I could go a month without a drink. So it was about it's probably more about gorging on the times you went out.
Yeah, binging,
gorging, whatever. I mean, it's just like
this was actually a very big problem in the UK, is binge drinking.
Yeah,
a massive problem.
Yeah,
and so is binge eating is the same.
Yeah, and can you imagine having these things and not following just ordinary stuff like what to eat and and whatever other things I'm going to say to you about doing things better, but then having the added thing of alcohol, right? Smoking, drugs. You can keep adding on to it, and luckily I've never been someone who takes drugs, so I'm really pleased. That was a decision I made when I was probably about 12, 13. I just decided never going to touch them ever, and thank God I never did, and I know
that's the decision. Yeah. That's the decision I made when I was. That's the decision I made when I was what? I was 14 on with Coca-Cola and soda pops, and stuff like that. carbonated drinks. That I just made that decision of I'm never going to touch it again, and I didn't.
I was a Pepsi man when I was very young. I was a
I
Pepsi.
was watching that movie, The Jerk, which you mentioned the other day.
All right, yeah.
We were watching it and they have Tab. There's a can of Tab in there.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
yeah. Oh man, I remember Tab.
Yeah, I've had a few of those, but well, no, a great film. Great film if you want to know about rhythm. Right. Anyway, so think of it. Look, think of it this way with metabolic syndrome. Think of 9/11. What a horrible, horrible time to be watching the television. You know, think of the film Titanic. Now, no, it is a real event, but not the film was, but it's a real event. And think of Tower and Inferno. That is probably something like how it's going to affect your body. Okay, you've got your own disaster movie. Okay, so just think about what you're doing. I think that's the best way forward. You know, and as I say, what else can you tell us about metabolic syndrome? What are some of the symptoms?
I mean, the syndrome itself, I don't think we need to go into too much depth from what we've covered already about the syndrome. Other than just to remind folks that, look, it's a serious condition. It's not something to joke around about. It's not something to be blasé about. And yeah, even if you've never thought about whether you have metabolic syndrome or not, yeah, if you just think about, okay, am I obese? Yes or no? Do I suffer with hypertension or stress and that? Yes or no? Do I have diabetes? Oh, Paul's disappeared. Okay. If you are experiencing one of those conditions, then you need to start taking precautionary measures in order to make, if you're not already, to make sure that it doesn't evolve into something that is a metabolic syndrome. Okay. And as the term syndrome or metabolic syndrome says, this is to do with the functioning of your body, and this is to do with the metabolism within your system, and how, welcome back, Paul, how all three of these conditions impact your metabolism, how it impacts the functioning of your systems and the communication in your body. For example, we've spoken about this before, where we've spoken about the communication between your gut and your brain. Okay, and how important that communication that's being transferred from the gut to the brain is healthy. Now, stress, hypertension, and stress. This is going to impact the communication between your gut and your brain. Yeah, or the brain in your head and the brain in your gut. Diabetes, it's definitely going to impact the communication between the two because of your insulin resistance, your triglyceride factors, and so forth. Then obesity, you've got the low density lipoproteins, which are high. Okay, I mean, which are high, and then you got your high density lipoproteins, which are low, and these are not good. Just, you don't need to know what exactly they are, but if the HDL is low, it's not particularly good. And if the LDL is high, it's even worse. Okay, and this is all impacted from the gut and the communication that is going on between the two. Now, this is where the syndrome is developed. The syndrome develops here because now your system slowly starts to shut down. Your system slowly starts to be impacted by the way it functions. It's no longer functioning optimally, and because you could have type 2 diabetes but be very healthy. Yeah, and therefore the community. What's that?
Appear to be.
Well, appear to be healthy, but you could also. I mean, I know one or two people that have got type 2 diabetes. Okay, and they are healthy people. Unfortunately, they just have their bodies don't react to insulin in a healthy way. So they are active, they eat clean, they don't drink alcohol. Often, they very seldom these kind of factors. So they're healthy people, but unfortunately they got type 2 diabetes. But it's a potentially very slippery road. And you can fall by the wayside very quickly if you're not careful and you don't take care of yourself. So taking that into account, we got Christmas coming up. Hey Mukesh, we got Christmas coming up. We got New Year's coming up. So just please be mindful. Just be mindful. Start thinking about it. Start maybe taking action within your life today, without waiting for tomorrow, because tomorrow may never arrive. It may just be too late. So start taking action now. And if you don't know what to do, then reach out to Paul and I, please, because between the two of us, we can definitely guide you in the right path. You can start taking certain actions now before you go see a GP or a specialist. You don't have to wait until you see a doctor before you start taking action either. And this is the thing that with many people is they trust the doctor too much. It's good to trust a doctor, but sometimes they wait for every word that the doctor's going to tell them before they do anything. Rather than listening to a health professional or a fitness professional who, people that have experience in this industry, have experience with this type of stuff. But at the same time, you still want to go see a doctor in any case, and just to have all your bases covered. But don't have to wait until you see the doctor. You can start taking action today.
I think one of the biggest things is to be aware of how you feel, because I think a lot of times you actually do get the signs given to you in many different ways, and pay attention to these signs. It's a little bit worrying that there aren't too many visible signs, but that's why I said pay attention to the body. Now, obviously, if you've got the fat around your waist, that's a pretty good sign. Okay, that's one of them. The other thing is if you've got diabetes and you don't really know it, well, then maybe sometimes you might feel a little bit lightheaded, blurred vision, things like that. If you're thirsty, or you're urinating, you could look at that as well. That you'll see a change, and if you get anything, or you feel fatigued, it's another one as well. If something's changing, there's a reason for it. Okay. Now that doesn't mean to say you may not feel or see anything, but just take a look at your lifestyle and think, how can I improve this? So, would you agree with that advice?
Of course. And there's always room. There's always room for improvement, right?
Oh, for everyone.
Yeah, for everybody.
Yeah.
So, most people, there's a vast majority, a big need for improvement. So, be honest with yourself and just take your ego out of the equation. If it's possible at all. Don't think that you're untouchable. Because something like metabolic syndrome or the 3 factors that contribute it, they're not prejudiced against anybody. They just do what they're there to do, and that's to impact your health negatively.
Yeah, absolutely. So who is more at risk? Age can be a thing. I've got to watch out myself, but age can be a big factor. Ethnicity. It seems that Hispanic people are very, very open to this. They're at greater risk of developing it. Obviously, obesity we mentioned, diabetes we mentioned. There are other people who are ill. Also, there was a list of polycystic ovary syndrome. If you had that, you have to be very, very careful. Non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, another one. And the one that the one that surprised me, okay, sleep apnea. Okay, so don't know too much about it. I've got to be quite honest, but I know it's a real problem for some people. And so you've got to be careful, and you've got to know your own body. Pay attention, and if you pay attention, or if you do a little bit of investigating, you'll find out what you can and can't do and how you can improve things.
Yeah.
So just finishing up here, Warren, because it's such a, you could go off this subject for hours and hours, and there's lots of other stuff, but we just want to get the the bones over to people. How can they improve things? How can they get a healthy lifestyle?
Yeah, I've touched on a few factors. It's number one, make a decision. That's the most important thing. Do it for yourself. Make the decision to do it for yourself and nobody else, first and foremost. Number two is take action today. Don't wait until tomorrow. Brian says he knows his own body. I trust you do, Brian Taylor.
Yeah, in fact, when we have coffee, if he doesn't know his own body, I'll tell him.
And then the other thing is just, if you know, for example, if you know what you should be doing, and most people that will have the syndrome will know what they should be doing for the most part, especially because they've maybe got type 2 diabetes or they suffer with hypertension, and I'm pretty sure they've been to the doctor before and they've got some information and they have some kind of background knowledge. And the same may apply with obesity. Invariably not, unfortunately. Most people that are obese don't have a lot of insight into their health condition, unfortunately, because it is such a first world, modern day societal condition, all right, epidemic, obesity, that is, that so many people are obese and they don't know the first thing about what they could be doing. But just start making small changes, please. Doesn't have to be a big thing. And start, as I said, just start today. That's the most important thing. And then once you start getting on the road to eating healthier, drinking cleaner, getting regular sleep and rest, and then just enjoying a healthier, happier lifestyle by making small tweaks here and there, then those changes will start. And it will accumulate, and then it'll become a snowball effect, and it will start to get more and more and more and more. At the same time, go see a doctor.
Okay. Well, I've got 5 little things I'm going to say here. Nothing new, nothing new there. But after the 5, I'm going to give you a warning. Okay. And it's I'll say it with a smile. But although it's a very serious subject, but the first one is getting at least 30 minutes of physical activity each day, or most days. Okay, and that can be running, could be walking, could be doing a class in a gym, and there's lots of cycling, swimming. Make sure your body is active. Okay, that's very, very important on a regular basis. Second thing is obviously what. Sorry, go on, Warren.
I was going to say, just find a video on YouTube that where you can do a class and a workout on YouTube.
Yeah. It doesn't. This doesn't cost anything.
Yeah.
Okay. Or it doesn't have to cost anything. Then we just watch what we eat a little bit. You know what you can eat and what you can't eat. You know that if you eat corn chips and Pepsi every day, you're going to have problems. But and we're not saying 100% cut them out, but cut them out 97 or 98%. Okay. Eating plenty of vegetables, good lean protein, and obviously, what was the other thing I wrote down? Whole grains. Very, very important to eat. Limited saturated fats. This is a big one. Okay. What are you cooking? Butter, olive oil, as long as it's not too high. And what was the other one? Coconut. Was it coconut oil?
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, if you're going to cook with it, you want to cook with healthy oils. Coconut oil is okay. It's not the best. It's okay. It's not as healthy as people thought it was. But olive oil, but not the cold pressed olive oil. You want to use the cooking olive oil. It comes in the clearer bottles. Those are good for cooking with. Butter, even don't limit your intake to butter, especially if you have hypertension, obesity, and type 2 diabetes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're 100%.
Yeah, and the other couple that you know about the other two, very, very simple. Maintaining healthy body weight. Okay, if you're carrying a little bit too much weight, just try and lose a bit gradually. You know, work make sure it's going downwards and not upwards. Okay, and the other thing is smoking. If you smoke, I'll let you decide that one. Okay, yeah, and I mean, I smoked a few fags when I was a kid, but then decided I wasn't going to smoke them because I thought it was disgusting. Actually,
Yeah, it is,
you know, it was
yeah.
great because all your mates are smoking, but
I did the same thing. I tried it when I was a kid. I was like, ah.
yeah. I mean, it didn't, because I was an athlete and a footballer then, even at the age of 11 or 12. So I just thought this can't be good for the sport. So that was it. That went, never came back. And the warning is this: if you don't if you don't heed some of these warnings, okay, then I'm looking for a sparring partner. So feel free to come over and I'll do 3 rounds with you in the boxing ring. And I might be able to change your mind. No, that's a joke. I'm joking. All right. So
well, you got a boxing ring in the backyard or what?
I'll make one. Don't worry about that. So anyway, listen. If you've got any questions about metabolic syndrome or the other things we've obviously mentioned, please get in touch with us. Don't forget, you've always got the choice of going to see a medical professional or practitioner, and yeah. So I'd like to see some results. Let us know what happens. Have you if you tweak anything, and let us know.
Yeah,
and keep progressing forward.
If this video, if watching this video has done something to you, then give us that feedback. Tell us.
Absolutely.
Love to hear.
So
and if you know somebody that should be listening to this and watching this, then again, please share this with them, please. It's important.
Yeah.
So the more people that know this information, that need to know this information, the better for everybody.
Absolutely. And let's all get a bit healthier.
Yeah.
That's the message. So please show a bit of love and share this video. Like the video, and if you think it's useful, pass it on to someone else. And as you mentioned, Warren, and we'll see you on next Wednesday on successcafe.tv, and then obviously on the following Friday on this one, HealthierLife.tv. So have a great weekend, everyone, and
have a beautiful weekend.
Don't do anything I wouldn't do.
Don't you mean it doesn't mean don't do anything I can't do?
No, I can do everything. All right, lovely. Have a great weekend.
All
Cheers, everyone.
Ciao, everyone.
Bye.